I just think he's a good guy. I think he means nothing bad by this. I've had a million policy disagreements with him, but he's genuinely one of the most honest, decent people I've ever met.
We've been friends of the Bidens for 38 years. Obviously, any sort of harassment is strictly wrong.
Joe Biden is someone who wears his heart on his sleeve. That's just who Joe Biden is. I do think he will be more conscious of the possibility that in some settings it might make some people uncomfortable.
So some of the reaction now from both sides there to Joe Biden after two more women come public to claim that he touched them inappropriately. Dr. William Bennett served as drug czar during the Bush administration. He's the host of Wise Guys on Fox Nation and a Fox News contributor. How you doing? Bill Bennett, welcome back to our program here.
Good,
You've known Joe Biden a long time. You're hearing about these stories now for the past 5 or 6 days, and what are you thinking?
Well, I don't think they're to be confused with Harvey Weinstein and other real serious perpetrators of sexual harassment and worse. This is Joe Biden. I've known him for a long time. Let's remember that Joe Biden has suffered losses unlike many of us. He lost his wife and his daughter in an accident, and then he lost his son recently. I think he is preternaturally, by disposition, someone who touches and reaches, and I don't think any of these things I've heard rise to the level of such serious offense. So I'd give the guy some room. Mrs. Bennett and I went to a funeral yesterday. She reminded me, a nonpartisan funeral for Fred Malik. And afterwards, you know, people wanted a hug. And I have to tell you, I was a little hesitant because I'm not sure what the rules are. So we do need to know what the rules are. It seems to me there should still be a place for people to be affectionate, to touch each other in a non-threatening and non-invasive way.
So in the past 24 hours, you had a 2012 incident. A writer by the name of DJ Hill came forward. You also had a woman in Nevada, now age 22. It says that she was touched by him on her thigh when she was age 19. So I don't know where this goes. I don't know how many more come forward. I don't know how Joe Biden responds. But he's set to make a big decision, and that is whether or not he jumps in this primary battle here. Do you think he does, and does this affect that, yes or no?
It probably affects it, but it also will be determined by how he deals with it. And I think he can say, look, meant no offense, and I'll be much more conscious of this in the future. All of these women, I think without exception, have said they didn't regard it as a terrible thing. It was just that made them uncomfortable, but it wasn't of the serious predator type thing. Yeah. But, you know, let's get to policy. Let's talk about what Joe Biden believes in terms of policy. And that's what I was thinking about the other day. He was the confirming chairman of the Judiciary Committee when I was drug czar, when I was the first drug czar. And we had some very bracing discussions about drugs and drug policy, which I think would be worth looking into if people want to determine what Joe Biden believes.
I want to play two little clips here. One's from Senator Kennedy, a Republican from Louisiana. Why don't we listen to that first, guys? Here's Senator Kennedy. He does not support Joe Biden, by the way, as opposed to those that we just heard from. Watch here.
Just because you're accused of something doesn't mean you're guilty of it. On the other hand, this is no country for creepy old men, and it needs to stop.
See how he responds to that. Then I want to play the clip from President Trump last night. It was pretty much like, welcome to the show. This is the way it is. Watch.
Our former vice president, I was going to call him, I don't know him well. I was going to say, welcome to the world, Joe. You having a good time, Joe? Are you having a good time?
This is your town. This is politics in Washington, D.C., Doc.
Yeah, Thomas More says in A Man for All Seasons, I show you the times. These are the times in which we live. He's got to respond to it, and he's got to deal with it adequately, and he's got to adjust his behavior, obviously. But again, I wish we could go to policy. You know, we were very successful in our drug policy efforts, and we were supported by Joe Biden. It's a very interesting thing to me, Bill, that I am reviled by the left as being, you know, too tough a drug czar, too much emphasis on law enforcement. Joe Biden supported me in this and indeed pushed me to have more emphasis on law enforcement. We were partners in that. That, I think, is a more interesting question. especially in light of this opioid crisis. At the level of policy, I think some good discussions could take place. By the way, with his support, we were very successful in our efforts in the late 80s and early 90s. They preceded me and they followed me, but I think we helped. The presidency of George Herbert Walker Bush helped. But Joe Biden and I worked together, hand in glove, and I think fashioned good policies that helped. That would be a more interesting question. I expect some on the left will condemn him for that, but nevertheless, those policies worked.
Oh, nice to have you back here. Just in a word, you think he runs, yes or no? I believe you said yes.
I think it's yes. I think it's yes. He's got to deal with this issue up front and then move on to more serious matters. I think more serious matters.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Bill Bennett from Washington. We'll talk again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.